This video here is gonna be about a vampire, which I got last week, and yeah, so Vampyr, right? That came on around 2018. I've been really looking at to play more vampire games. I know lots of zombie games out there, lots of shooters, but I was looking for like a good vampire game. First off, you're like some sort of vampire in this post World War I England, right? And yeah, so you're in like this small town and like this epidemic like is literally taking place, right? People are dying. And the best part of the game really like is the dialogue. So the dialogue options and speaking like with various citizens, and yeah. So, various citizens and doctors and patients, right? So you basically talk to people to recover hints about new situations, or to find out about like a clue about a certain someone. And yeah, the dialogue reminds me a little bit like in terms of the voice acting, it reminds me a little bit of The Witcher 3. This is not like in The Witcher 3's level, but it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. So yeah, as you interact more like with various citizens, you recover. You start to understand more about what's going on, the vampire hunters, the plague, the epidemic, vampires, and yeah. So lots of different NPCs that will have different motives, sometimes to allegiances, associations, and yeah. But for the most part, though, like you're mostly like you are mainly talking like with regular citizens or doctors, patients, trying to figure out what's going on. There is some, options in it too, you can offer. So you as a character, you were, like some sort of doctor turned vampire. So you can offer treatment, or there's one option where you can sacrifice a certain human. Because you are a vampire, you gotta feed that on blood. And yeah, so, like, for example, like when you sacrifice somebody, I get the option where, you can drain them dry, suck their blood, and yeah. For a vampire or a vampire, right, the dialogue options, they kind of repeat themselves sometimes. So they kind of you kind of ask the same questions. What's going on in your life, or what's the situation going on, and yeah. And like it's pretty obvious like what's going on, right? It's like a pandemic, people are dying, right? But yeah, it more comes in like with every character, every NPC will have like a different answer. But still, like the options, they do repeat themselves. So a vampire, so there's also the combat. Now the combat system, it is kind of up and down. It is, it's not great. It's not great. It's kind of mediocre. So you basically get like a melee weapon, whether it be like a short blade, a scythe, or like a scythe, a baseball, a barbed wire bat, and yeah. So depending on it's kind of like an RPG. So like different weapons will have different stats and different levels associated with them, and yeah. Damage, quickness, and yeah. So the most part, though, like you're either fighting the vampire hunters, bandits, or an infected, or like other vampires. And yeah, so basically the combat is basically a light attack, heavy attack, dodge, right, a parries, and yeah, you do get a very fast dodge because you are a vampire. You can you do engage in this shadow movement, and yeah. Now, you are, for the most part, are relying, like, on these melee weapons. Some melee weapons will be more effective. And, yeah, there's also guns. So, the guns feel underpowered early on. They feel underpowered. And, yeah, but the gun, basically, like, with the combat, you want to drain, drain the enemy of stamina. Drain them of stamina. Bite them. And, yeah, that's going to give you more health meter. Sorry, blood meter, and yeah. So basically, it's all about the stamina meter. The combat system, like for you, is really dictated, by the stamina meter, right? If you have no stamina, you can't engage in any combat, and yeah, you have to wait for the stamina meter to refill itself, and yeah. So basically, like your enemies, you wanna, attack them long enough, like for them to be able to stamina, bite them, and yeah. So you also get special abilities. So these special abilities, right? Like these special attacks, like these vampire attacks that will do extra damage, crowd control, defensive bonuses, and yeah, you basically use XP. So you use XP to unlock these bonuses. These bonus attacks, And yeah, you know, this is probably the best part like of the combat system is the attacks themselves, right? As in the melee, you know, the melee itself, you know, the combat melee, it doesn't feel like there's a flow to it. There's no flow to it. It's very much a reliant on like the stamina system. But, you know, the special attacks make it worthwhile, you know. Like it actually kind of saves it a little bit though. But yeah, but the combat system itself like is not great. It is not a great combat system. Vampyr, you also get other things too, like in you know, like a vampire, a visual mode. You know, so basically, you know, like I put a screen like in like this grayscale, black and white, and you basically see wherever blood. So wherever blood is, you can detect blood trails, right? And you know, for example, there's rats. You can eat, you know, basically eat rats to gain more blood meter. And yeah, and you can. It is very cool. You can detect the health condition like a various patients or citizens, so you can tell like if somebody is sick, offer them treatment, and yeah. Going back to the dialogue options early on. The dialogue options, there will be important dialogue choices. So, you know, where, whichever option you choose is going to have a certain, is going to dictate, you know, the outcome. This is actually very rare. It is rare, right, to have those important, what do you call them again? To have those game-changing decisions like in this game, right? But they are there. They're just rare. They're not very common. So it actually does a great job, you know, telling you about vampires, their weakness to the sun, the weakness to the Christian cross, right? How they can't, you know, how they have to, they can only be, you know, active at nighttime, and yeah, and this one has, you know, different variations like a vampire, right? The lesser infected vampires, right? Scalds, and you have like the more higher, you know, intelligent vampires, and yeah. Now, going into it now, like, you know, a Vampyr, you know, it's gonna come with like some problems. So for example, here, you know, Vampyr, some of the problems, right, you know, crashes. So I'm playing this on the PS4. This game did crash on me multiple times. Eventually, like when I play it, so if I play more than, you know, let's say 2 hours, the game is gonna crash. It's gonna freeze and crash on me. And yeah, but it is very, you know, annoying though, because like I would get to like to a very good part like in the game, and then the game will just crash. I'm not sure about the PC version or like an Xbox version, but this version of the game did crash on me. There's also, you know, other things like in the game, you know, like, you know, visually though, this is not a great, in terms of graphics, you know, this game is not great. It's very mid graphics. It looks more like a PS3 game at times, and some of the textures and shadows look off. But yeah, you know, you have to really play it to see it. But there's one citizen, right? So there's a citizen that you talk to, and this, I don't know, like his skin, the texture of his skin looks so weird. There's no detail to it. And so, you know, but yeah, graphically, it looks very odd. And yeah, so, you know, Vampyr in terms of difficulty, right? The difficulty, because it is tied to an upgrade system, right? You are basically using XP, you know, to upgrade, gain more stats, and get to the next level. So the difficulty is really, you know, a link to the whole RPG system going on like in the game, or a semi-RPG system, right? And yeah, like when you fight, you know, the more, you know, a higher level enemies are you gonna get owned a lot. But because it is, you know, the combat, melee combat is based on stamina, right? So it's very stamina based, right? If you run like out of stamina, you can't dodge, you can't do anything. You just gotta stand, walk away slowly, and then you know, get the stamina meter to refill. So the difficulty like in the game, it's not hard. It's gonna be frustrating enemies. It's best to upgrade things like health and blood meter like as quickly as possible, and to gain those special abilities, right? And yeah, so plus as well, there is this weird travel ability. So this weird traversal ability where you can, it's actually helpful. So you kind of teleport to higher ledges, right? Higher ledges are to get to higher areas, and yeah, but you know, and you do a shadow swoop, you can, you know, constantly dodge like in certain areas. Now, similar like if you play Red Dead 2. So Red Dead 2, for example, if you're in the camp, like as soon as you walk into your main camp, you can't run. You can't run, you can only slow walk, right? And yeah, it's the same thing here where like if you're in certain areas near NPCs, you can't, you know, you can't shadow swoop or shadow dodge. the shadow dodge actually gets you around faster. But yeah, you know, there's certain areas there is that weird limitation where, you know, if you're like if you're near NPCs, you can't shadow dodge. And please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.